Hi everyone, welcome to this week's episode of Bean to Bar Talk, where I'm going to explain to you the process of chocolate making. It all starts down on the farm with a cacao tree, or 3 Brahma cacao. These trees prefer a warmer climate and only grow 20 degrees north and south of the equator. Once the cacao pods on the tree are ripe, they are harvested, opened, and the pulp and beans taken out to be fermented. When the cacao pods are ripe, they generally change colour, sometimes yellow, orange, there's even some that are purple. Fermentation can take anywhere between 6 and 10 days. Bacteria from the pulp breaks down during this process and helps to develop a flavour on the cacao bean. Traditionally, fermentation takes place in boxes that are covered with banana leaves. Once fermentation is finished, the beans then need to be dried out. To do this, they are laid out in rows and raked every few days to turn them over to prevent any moisture and mould from growing. Once the farmers have finished harvesting, fermenting, and drying, they pack everything up into hessian sacks and send it on to the next person in the chocolate making process, the chocolate maker. Chocolate makers take time to consider where they're getting their beans from, that it's being ethically sourced straight from the farm, or that they've used a small company that prioritises ethically sourcing and using no child labour. The first step of turning these cacao beans into chocolate is the roasting. Roasting can either be done in the oven or in a coffee roaster. The exact roasting times and heats depends on the chocolate maker and is usually a heavily guarded secret. However, as a general rule, 120 to 130 degrees for about 30 minutes will do the trick. After roasting is complete, the outside shell of the cacao bean must be taken off. This outside shell can be used and steeped like tea leaves and drunken as a drink. And the inside is what is used in the chocolate making process. You can do this by hand like I just did. However, there are special machines that crack and winnow for you, so it makes the whole process a lot faster. The nib is what goes into the melanger. Now the melanger is going to run for about 24 to 72 hours depending on the chocolate maker, and this grinds that down into a nice smooth paste. The longer you grind it, the smoother the texture of your chocolate is going to be. The shorter you grind it, the more grainy the texture will be. To the cacao nibs, you can add milk powder and sugar if you want a milk chocolate, or to get a dark chocolate, you'll just add sugar. Once the chocolate has finished in its melanger and poured out, it is ready to be tempered. Tempering is really important in the chocolate making process because this is what gives the chocolate bar its nice shine and its beautiful snap. Tempering involves heating and cooling the chocolate to different temperatures so that the fat molecules in the cocoa butter are perfectly aligned, and that's what creates this beautiful snap. When tempering has finished, we pour it into molds and let this chocolate set. Then we can pack it up or add any additional flavours that we want. So another thing to look out for is knowing how to read your chocolate bar correctly. This one here says 70% dark chocolate, but what does that even mean? 70% refers to the percentage of actual cacao, and those cacao nibs that we saw before, that's going to be in your chocolate bar. There's 70% cacao and only 30% sugar. A milk chocolate, or something that says only 40% cacao, means that there's an awful lot of sugar in that bar. And it's the sugar that's addictive and that's bad for us, not actually the cacao itself. Cacao is full of theobromine, which makes us feel good, and it's full of things like zinc and magnesium and lots of antioxidants. So all these properties that are found in cacao are really good for us. So if we want a treat that's going to make us feel good and be better for our health, then we need a higher percentage of cacao. Now, just because something's dark chocolate doesn't mean it has to be bitter. If a chocolate maker has sourced their beans from a really good farm, roasted them correctly, then their bar should be really delicious and not bitter. I hope this video has been informative and helped you understand where chocolate and cacao comes from. If you're watching this in the school setting, hopefully you've got time to do some of the follow-up activities that are linked in the descriptions below. They include arts, crafts, geography, and even some games. If you would like more chocolate-based content, please like and subscribe and follow along for more. And we'll see you soon for our next chocolate adventure.